My name is Desmond Miles, and this is my story.
Best never change.
And may it never change us.
Well, let's keep it very short and sweet. Is Desmond Miles going to be returning to Assassin's Creed Shadows? Well, this is one of the most requested questions, and today, Ubisoft has finally given us an answer to that. And for the very first time, the answer is going to make fans get super excited about what's coming up for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, first off, we know that Desmond Miles played a very huge role when it comes to Assassin's Creed games and the modern storyline, which played a huge, crucial part when it came to having a balance between the Assassin's Creed games from history to the present generation storyline. But ever since Ubisoft decided to kill Desmond Miles away, there has always been a huge void in the modern day story of Assassin's Creed Saga. And ladies and gentlemen, now it finally seems like Ubisoft realizes what's wrong with their game and they are now fixing things. And right now Ubisoft has shared a lot of details about all the new changes that they're bringing out to modern day story, and they've also spoken a lot about what's going to happen with Desmond Miles and how they're going to be approaching the story further with Assassin's Creed Shadows. And good news is that it's actually exciting. So let's jump right into all the details. Now, the first thing that Ubisoft has announced is that Assassin's Creed Shadows seeks to restore the balance between the series' historical and modern day stories. Now, the balance has always been something that we've been missing out in Assassin's Creed games, and it seems like Ubisoft has always been focusing more towards the issues and artifacts and all that stuff, which kind of just took us away from the main modern day storyline, which kind of was interesting back in those days when Desmond Miles was alive. Now with Rebecca, Sean, and Layla Hassan playing the modern day storyline, the modern day story has always been a very huge lackluster. Now recently, with the end of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ubisoft decided to go ahead and bring back William Miles as well as Basim as the main protagonists who are going to be taking over the modern day storyline, and fans seem to have been already loving it. And with Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's going to be much more interesting with a lot of storyline that's going to be linked with Desmond Miles. And from the details here that Ubisoft has shared, the first thing they said is that the modern day narrative will serve to enhance rather than overshadow the historical journey, which most of the recent Assassin's Creed games has been doing after Assassin's Creed 3, which kind of just killed off Desmond Miles forever. And then with Assassin's Creed 4, the Black Flag, we played as this first-person character and we had no idea who this character was. It was just one of those Abstergo employees, and there was not really much to do, or nobody was even interested to see what's going to happen with the modern day storyline after the death of Desmond Miles. And Ubisoft is finally, for the very first time, agreed on their mistakes, and they have now mentioned things about Desmond where they said that ending Desmond's arc was a difficult decision, and after which modern day storyline has always been struggling to find its footing. And because of that, Ubisoft has always been focusing on chasing the Isu artifacts and advanced ancient technologies, which reduce the conflicts between the Templars and the Assassins to a straightforward pursuit of having control over the magical relics more than having a battle between the Templars and the Assassins. So that's kind of just completely omitted from the recent Assassin's Creed games, and Ubisoft finally realizes that, and they have now mentioned this in the recent statement where they did an interview with Games Radar, where the Ubisoft developers have mentioned a lot of mistakes that they did in the past that they're going to be fixing in Assassin's Creed Shadows, and apparently it's going to make some huge impact as to how the modern day is going to be working. And now that they actually realize that since killing off Desmond Miles, the story has only been just chasing artifacts, because take for example in Assassin's Creed Odyssey where you had the Spear of Leonidas, and then you moved on to Atlantis, and then we came to Assassin's Creed Origins, where in that game we also had another Isu artifact, and then we moved on to the next Assassin's Creed, which was Valhalla, and then we found a lot of Odin's weapons and all that stuff. So all of these artifacts are basically what's taking away from the main aspect of what Assassin's Creed games has been standing towards, and Ubisoft finally recognizes as to what their mistake is, and now they're making sure that they're going to be fixing as many of these mistakes as they possibly can. And now they want to be focusing once again as to how the old Assassin's Creed games used to represent, which is all about the Assassins and Templars, and the storyline and the story plot is only going to be continued if they bring back the legacy of Desmond Miles. Now, of course, this does not mean that we're going to be playing as Desmond Miles or magically he's just getting out of the enemies and he's back into his physical earthly form. Now, of course, if that's something you guys are imagining, well, that's not going to happen. But there's something even more interesting. We know that Desmond Miles is stuck inside the enemies where he sacrificed himself and he stayed inside the enemies. And Layla even met Desmond Miles inside the enemies in Assassin's Creed Valhalla's ending. And now it seems like William Miles, who is the father of Desmond Miles, he's going to be taking over, and he's the character that we're going to be playing as in Assassin's Creed Shadows as well. Now, we also played as William Miles in Assassin's Creed Mirage, and in Mirage we got to see that Basim gets his own DNA, where William could actually use his DNA and go back into the memories of Basim and find out the truth about Loki and Basim and how the lifestyle of assassins and the Hidden Ones basically started, and all of those things, how it originated. So right now it's going to be a story that's going to continue the legacy of Desmond Miles through the eyes of his father, William Miles. Now, what's good here is that Ubisoft is finally listening to what players and the critics have to say about the game, and they have now mentioned this very interesting point where they say that players and critics felt that the modern day storyline had become a secondary concern for Assassin's Creed games, where it's become more of a side quest rather than actually being integrated part of the overall experience, which is how the storyline is supposed to be gathering up from the modern day to enemies and to the history. And there's supposed to be this huge balance, which is going to make sense. And players would actually want to go ahead and explore the modern day. But then a lot of people kind of felt like, getting out of the enemies just felt like you're just getting out of the experience where you're having fun at some point, and then the game is just forcing you out of the enemies, and you're just basically forced to play the modern day storyline. And that's because they haven't designed the modern day storyline with the amount of potential that this game could eventually have, but they always missed out on this huge opportunity. And I think that's what Ubisoft is going to be getting back with Assassin's Creed Shadows here, where now they said that series is entering its third phase, in which the team's goal is to put back the history at the center of players' experience. Now, however, this means that the history is going to be the main center of the focus, not the modern day storyline, but at the same time, the modern day storyline will also be exploring deeper themes of memories and identity and autonomy, of how the past is going to be shaping who we are and how controlling this past can actually impact our future. So now it seems like the past and the future is actually going to make sense. And it seems like there's going to be some sort of a new NMS technology where you will have the options to dictate how the past is going to be working. So you can basically alter the past. I don't know how that's going to work, because as far as what I've seen from Assassin's Creed games, the enemies can only help you go ahead and read the memories of your ancestors, but you can't really change the history of what exactly happened. But I don't know how that's going to be working. Maybe they found a time machine or whatever. So it seems like as they've collected a lot of Isu artifacts, hopefully they can go back in the past and change things and, use some sort of a time machine thing. I don't know how that's going to work out, but as far as what Ubisoft says, it seems like there is going to be an option where players' choices in the past is actually going to dictate on how the future is going to be holding and how the things are going to be working out in future modern generation storyline. Where Ubisoft now mentions that these themes will now allow the team to reflect on contemporary issues such as freedom versus control, the power of knowledge, and the tension between individuality and conformity. Now, Assassin's Creed Shadows will lay the foundations of this narrative evolution that will grow in the years to come, and this is basically how they're planning to push forward the entire storyline of Assassin's Creed Shadows and all the upcoming Assassin's Creed games, where they want to focus more towards the modern day storyline, but then actually make it make sense rather than just having something that doesn't make sense at all. Now, the source of all of this information is coming from Mark Alexis Cotes from Ubisoft, of course, the developer, the art director of the game. And recently he did an interview with Games Radar, and that's where we got a bunch of all of these information. And it does seem like it's very, very interesting to move forward to see what Assassin's Creed games are going to be representing in the future content. Now, of course, this leaves a huge confusion when it comes to what happens with Assassin's Creed Infinity, the hub platform which apparently Ubisoft revealed that they're going to be releasing, which is going to consist of a lot of Assassin's Creed games combined together, and this is going to serve as the modern day hub and the enemies, where you as players are going to be able to jump into the enemies and switch between all the different memories and different timelines, and that's going to take you into different Assassin's Creed games. So it's basically like a Call of Duty hub, which for some reason it has a lot of issues. Trust me, a lot of players are hating it at this point. Many of us really want to just have like one single game, just want to download that game and be done with it. But as far as what I can say, the hub is most likely just a platform which is going to enable Ubisoft to like promote as many Assassin's Creed games as they possibly can and just try to be as microtransaction oriented and just push and force players into buying all the unnecessary Assassin's Creed titles that they initially did not intend to purchase, but then since they're using the Assassin's Creed Infinity hub platform, that's just going to keep pushing out all of these games on their faces rather than just letting them play the game that they want. So I honestly believe from the experience that I've received from Call of Duty and the hub that they've created, I think it's kind of the similar route that Ubisoft might be taking, and hopefully it doesn't turn out to be the same, and maybe they do decide to make something completely different and give us like an actual good modern day storyline, and hope that is the reason why Assassin's Creed Infinity is being created. Now, honestly guys, go ahead, let me know down below in the comments, what are your honest thoughts about the modern day storyline? Would you like to see William Miles taking over the entire modern day storyline and continue the legacy of what Desmond Miles just left off in the Assassin's Creed series? I would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions in the comments, and if you guys have any suggestions for the developers that they could just, take from fans and the gamers, because we know better than what the developers do, of course, because we have played the game, we have better experience with the game, and of course some developers are always looking forward to having some good feedbacks from fans out there. So if you could just be as critical as possible, and if you could just leave any of your feedbacks or thoughts or any suggestions that you would like to see being added into the modern day storyline of the next Assassin's Creed game, then please just don't hesitate to leave a comment down below in this video, because Ubisoft developers, they do watch these videos and they definitely take a lot of feedbacks from you fans, so your suggestions are absolutely going to play a huge role in terms of making Assassin's Creed games great again. Now, with the being said, if you guys are looking for a YouTube channel that covers all the latest and the greatest information, news, updates, and basically all the things that you guys need about upcoming open world games, then this channel is going to be your number one stop. So make sure to go ahead, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on, and set the notification settings to all, so that way you guys can always stay updated. At the same time, it's absolutely free to do it on YouTube, so you're really not losing anything while you have a lot to gain. And me as a creator, I'm gonna get to build a community of all of you wonderful gamers out there, so it's a win-win for both of us. And with the being said, if you guys did go on and enjoy this video, please just take a few seconds of your valuable time, drop a like on this video. It really goes a long way, and really it does show a lot of your support to the content. Now, with the being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Until then, take it easy, fams, and goodbye.